We're here to talk about something really near and dear to my heart, which is two things: digital transformation and mobile access. So transitioning from plastic cards to this wonderful, delightful tap-based experience. So real quick, my name is Matt Bennett. I lead digital transformation efforts at Alert Enterprise. And there's two things that we really focus on. We focus on building our stack natively on ServiceNow, and we focus on transforming the digital connected access experience and building a wonderful experience that people enjoy to use. So I want to take you on a little bit of a journey today. I'm going to make a bet that most of you already have digitized something in your wallet today. Whether that be your credit cards, whether that be your driver's license, your passport, your Metro card, depending on where you live. If you've been to Disneyland or World recently, you've probably experienced the joy of having that pass in your wallet. If you've been to a Major League Baseball game or soccer game, you've probably put a pass in your wallet. If you boarded an airline, you probably put a pass in your wallet. Depending on where you stay, we're now seeing that propagate across the hotel experience. Even vehicles now are starting to have this wallet experience. But there's one area that has not been fully replaced by the wallet yet. That is your employee badge. So let's unpack what an employee badge actually is for a second here. So an employee badge is simply a piece of plastic with some very rudimentary 20 to 30-year-old legacy, very unsecure technology inside of it that may or may not have a photo. It can be cloned very easily. If you're not familiar, I encourage everyone to look up a device called the Flipper Zero, one of the scariest pieces of technology to hit the market in a very long time. For $30 to $40, we can clone most plastic badges that exist out there. So for those who are not in the know, there is a better way to do this, and that is to bring your employee badge into Apple Wallet. This is not new. I wish I could say we're debuting it here. We're not. We've been deploying this for years now. I was with a company called HID. I've been deploying wallet-based credentials for 7 years since they existed. But what we are introducing is the ability to provision this natively from inside your ServiceNow instance through an agentic chat-based experience through Now Assist. And that's what I'm going to demo here in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges of actually getting to a wallet credential. It is utopia when you get there, but it is not the easiest thing to actually operationalize in your environment. And a lot of this comes down to workflow. There are 3 distinct systems that must be touched every single time. A user must start out into some sort of HR system, whether that's something native on ServiceNow, whether that's Workday, SAP, Okta, Oracle, you name it, there's a source of truth where users live. Then that's typically fed through some sort of IAM, again, whether it be AD, Okta, some sort of single sign-on platform, and then eventually that lands in a system called PACS, Physical Access Control System. A PACS system is simply a database that governs entitlements, who is allowed in, who is not allowed in, on what schedules. But in order to get a credential of any type, that is the flow. There's 3 distinct systems that typically don't have any connection between the 3 of them. Now, how do we solve that? There's a few things I want to talk about. So today, we already have 3 skills that natively run on the ServiceNow environment. The ability to issue a mobile credential, the ability to replace an existing badge, and then enforcement of policy through other downstream systems. You can think of Alert Enterprise as the orchestration layer. We propagate identities between systems that historically have never been connected before. So the human is going to type what they need, and what we're going to debut here for the very first time is Guardian AI Agent. So this runs on Now Assist on the AI Agent Fabric in your ServiceNow environment. So let me show you what this actually looks like. We're going to prompt the AI Assist agent here, and we're simply going to say, I want to issue a new mobile credential. Got it, I found him. He's in a downstream source of record. I see he's part of the engineering department. Now, engineering access at HQ requires approval from leadership. I see that approval has already been generated or granted. If it had not been granted, we would prompt that user at that point. We're going to make the badge effective now, immediately. And so now Matt Bennett is going to receive an email, and I'm going to show you here on the next screen what that actually looks like. So that was the issuance process. Now let's look at the acceptance process. So here's my phone. You're going to see a new email come through from my employer saying your mobile credential is ready. I'm going to click on that email. Very simply, there's a call to action, add to wallet. I'm going to press that add to wallet button here, and I'm now going to be greeted with probably a very familiar screen for anyone who's ever put a boarding pass in their wallet before. I'm going to authenticate with my corporate credentials and my Apple ID. I'm going to be prompted with the devices that I want to put the credential on, my watch and my phone simultaneously. And then after about 20 seconds of spinning magic over here, this is what we get. We get a fully orchestrated mobile credential that exists in multiple downstream systems based on identities that were synchronized upstream from multiple downstream systems simultaneously. So it's simple, it's easy, and this is actually available as of today. That's not the only thing we're announcing today. We are announcing 5 new employee self-service AI skills that are available native on Now today, including badge replacement, traveling employee access, specific access request, the ability to reset pins at a door, and then the ability to register a visitor or a guest in advance of a visit that will happen. So a little background here. Guardian runs on all of the same infrastructure as ServiceNow's own agents. We like to say this all the time. We are not bolted on, we are built in. We run natively through 3 different fabrics inside the ServiceNow infrastructure. The native data model, the workflow engine, we are native inside the ServiceNow store. There's no additional integration project or work that's required. We sit alongside HRSD, ITSM, WSD. Your administrator will manage this just like any other native ServiceNow build. And then the layer we always bolt on top now is the AI layer. So whether that be Now Assist running on AI Agent Fabric, we're in the AI Agent Marketplace, or as we saw today, Control Tower. We're investigating how we're going to integrate that and what that's going to look like in our stack as well. Okay, forgive me for a second. I'm going to brag for just a minute about one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on before, and this is the Mosaic Company. So the Mosaic Company has been a long-time Alert Enterprise customer. What they've realized throughout the deployment of their Guardian infrastructure was a $90 million in annual savings from contractor overbilling. That's one module that they've leveraged from us. In addition to the mobile credentials, in addition to some of the other agentic components that we offer, they have realized some very significant cost savings as part of our platform. It's all about unpacking data, structuring data, and making sense of the data that exists. We need to get that data into a method that can be presented to our customers. There's a no obligation 30-day trial that we're making available to anyone and everyone here who would like to experience the pleasure of mobile credentials in your environment deployed natively from inside ServiceNow. So let me make that QR code a little bit bigger here if anyone is interested. It's a 3-step process, a quick 20-minute call with us to make sure we're aligned on what this project actually looks like, an NDA process, and then a 30-day trial license that we will help you deploy inside of your infrastructure. So if I leave you with one takeaway, it's this. The plastic badge that you all wear today, there is a better way. There is a delightful, wonderful, tap-based experience that is simply a few clicks away.